Welcome to This Week in the World of Wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our NXT review. And do I even need to say much, folks? It was NXT, the best hour block of wrestling programming that WWE currently provides, and this episode was no different. One match in particular, for my money, is a strong candidate for TV match of the year as far as I'm concerned. Ashton, what do you think of this show?
I completely agree with you. I know what match you're talking about, and I do agree with that as well. It was a really solid show with, I believe, 4 pretty solid matches. We had some interesting backstage segments, including one that made me, actually 2 that made me hate Natalya even more than I already did. So let's get right into our heat of the night.
Dude, every time we do this segment in regards to NXT, you might as well be thinking that I live in the Antarctic, because I never have a heat of the night for NXT, and I'm not about to start tonight. You?
Just because you said that, it really makes me want to think of a heat of the night for NXT, but it was so good that even trying to come up with one, I can't.
See, that's something even he fails at, folks. Now, process that for a second. That is the power of NXT. Hulkamania ain't got jack on that. Oh, man.
So we started, though, the show with Natalya suggesting that Tyson Kidd teams up with Sami Zayn to keep or to get Kidd's spirits up and to kind of bring on something new. And JBL is all about it. He's like, yeah, all right, they're going to face the Ascension.
Yeah, my 2 problems with this were, A, Natalya, when in the hell did you ever think that you were qualified to do JBL's job? And second of all, way to feed in to Michael Cole's sentiments that all Tyson Kidd is going to be known as is Natalya's husband. You're doing all the legwork for him. I think Kidd can take care of himself.
Absolutely. He can take just fine care of himself, as he proved later tonight, but we'll get to that later. For now, we have a match to talk about. Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss. And I realized why my immediate impression of Alexa Bliss was that I didn't like her. She reminds me of a tinier version of Kelly Kelly.
Oh, is that it? You know, I've gotten a similar impression just by looking at her, like, especially in the face and whatnot. But you know what? I must say, for that being established, I feel like this was her best outing to date. But then again, look who she was standing across from in the ring. This match was more, I think, about the story of the disintegration of the BFFs. That being said, I enjoyed what these two did. I mean, you got the typical Alexa Bliss offense with the Hurricane Rana into the cradle, and Sasha Banks just being awesome. You know, I heard these two recently worked an NXT live event where they apparently stole the show, and the reaction was just crazy. I didn't get that kind of level of awesome here, but I hope they work more in the future to give us that kind of a show.
Yeah, definitely. They were putting on a great match, and I was actually kind of annoyed that we were getting distracted, or at least that the cameramen were getting distracted by the constant ongoings of the BFFs on the outside of the ring, because I was actually enjoying the match on the inside of the ring.
Yeah, no, I think this feud, they didn't really have their priorities straight, because, again, it seemed to be more about the disintegration of the BFFs, which is fine, but it's okay with that being a post-match thing. You know, you could have focused on it more there as well. I feel like while bell to bell this match was in progress, that should have been the heavy focus.
Exactly. So. But at the end of the day, it wasn't. Before we actually do talk about the extracurricular activities that were going on here, though, let's talk about the fact that Sasha Banks whipped out a freaking, what was it called? Where she lifted her up above her head. I forget what the name of the move is. Surfboard!
That was beautiful. I popped for that so big. It was like, look at Sasha Banks pulling out the legit submission holds like that. Yeah, no, that's why Sasha Banks is so high on both of our radars, dude. She's one of the best that they have. And good news for you, I thought about you when I read this. Another reason about all the releases, this specified Oksana. And the reason they released her, and the only reason Rosa Mendes survived was because she got her spot on Total Divas, but the reason they released Oksana is because they see a huge influx of NXT women coming, particularly Sasha Banks and Charlotte. So,
Sweet.
Sasha Banks may be coming to the main roster soon, dude.
Awesome. That's awesome.
It's gonna be epic.
It's gonna be so good. I genuinely cannot wait for that to happen. I mean, hopefully the releases imply that there's gonna be more than just females from NXT getting called up here over the course of the next year or so. That happened. Up next we had, I don't exactly remember what order things happened in, but I do know that at one point we had a little bit of a backstage segment kind of introducing the vaudevillains in their kind of gimmick form.
I loved it. I've been telling Ashton over and over again, guys, that I really felt like I was going to dig this duo. And I think Simon Gotch being the silent type and having to rely on props and visuals and that sort of thing just adds a whole new dimension.
But he did talk during this, though. That's the thing.
Did he? I must have missed that.
Yeah. They had the backstage segment in the locker room, and they both spoke. So it's not like Gotch is playing the silent type the whole time.
I gotta say, I missed that, but that's still kind of, I won't say disappointing, because I guess everybody has to talk eventually, but I was really hoping that they would have ridden with that, because I saw a unique potential in all that. But either way, I still think it's a great pairing.
Yeah, I mean, they work really well together. Aiden English is still singing. I thought that he would ditch that, but he's still singing. And Simon Gotch, I really like the old school, like, carny feel to him almost. Like he's
right.
Like a young man kind of thing. I really do like that. I think these guys work really well together. And you know what? Since I don't know exactly what order things happened in, let's just get right into their match. The Vaudevillains versus Travis Tyler and Angelo Dawkins. And before we talk about the match itself, let's talk about the intro of the Vaudevillains.
Yeah, they have this whole monochrome thing going on, like the grayish, whitish stylings. It seems like they're a part of a silent motion picture. They come out. Aiden English, I remember he had like an old school megaphone type thing where you talk into, not necessarily where you like push the button down, but it's like a silicone type thing. And, he speaks into it. It was just, they had props going on. And I loved what you said earlier about, it being like a carnival attraction as far as Simon Gotch. They just have a very old school feel about them coming together, that old time art. And I just think it's a really cool vibe.
That's the exact word that I would use, is the vibe. Is really, really, it's neat. I don't know if I would say cool, because cool kind of implies like badassery, but it's definitely a neat vibe that they definitely put off. As far as the match itself goes, these guys have excellent tag team chemistry with each other, and Aiden English shocked the crap out of me with his athleticism to close the match.
Yeah, he does a freaking senton, guys.
And not just a senton, but a second rope senton. So he is not even coming off the top rope to get maximum air.
Where was this? Were you saying that to yourself? Because as I'm watching it, I'm thinking to myself, where was this Aiden English all these months when he was doing this gimmick? And Simon Gotch, well, I really can't say much for him for the moment because he seemed to do just like basic power work and working over the arm. I liked what he was giving off in the ring as well. I think these two, and I've said it repeatedly, have a lot of potential to be a great team. It's a shame that they are heels, I guess, for the most part, though they're not your traditional heels, because I'd love to call these guys the next NXT Tag Team Champions, maybe even more so than Jason Jordan and Ty Dillinger, and that should say
They
something.
are baby faces.
Oh, they are baby faces.
Dude,
so
absolutely. I mean, from the presentation to the in-ring maneuvers, Aiden English did a high-flying move, for God's sakes. Of course they're baby faces.
I've just been so used to Aiden English, being this snobbish artiste. Yeah.
You don't put the name villains in the name of a team that's actually heel. That makes no sense.
Yeah, I guess you do have a point there, but I hope that they continue to connect with the crowd. I think NXT laps up gimmicks like this, so the crowd, I think, will really get into them in due time. And it doesn't hurt that Aiden English.
Oh, they were already into it, dude. They were already into it. We had people chanting, "Put your dukes up" when Simon Gotch got in the ring.
Yeah, that's why I love the NXT crowd, and I hope that continues, because that had such a wonderful debut. And again, I was about ready to say, it doesn't hurt that Aiden English is already established to this audience, and Simon Gotch is just so different from what we normally get in a wrestling product. That's why I tell all my friends consistently, that talk wrestling, that NXT has the most colorful characters you can find on WWE television, between, a male model that gets stuff done to people like Simon Gotch, who are a throwback. It's really amazing stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. I don't know, Simon Gotch kind of feels like he's trying to be Bruno Sammartino of 2014. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a great label, actually. I like that. Yeah.
I mean, he's not like the big, bulky, barrel-chested son of a gun, but he has like a similar idiosyncrasies, maybe?
Right.
I don't know. It's just, obviously I'm not trying to say that he's anything like him, but
right.
just like, it's like he's trying to do an impression of him.
I like that. I like that summation of the gimmick. And my only fear is, as it was with Adam Rose, Bo Dallas, and so many others, and some are panning out, some I think are still finding their way, is how would a mainstream audience react to this? Because I think NXT is a very niche audience. I think they're very open-minded to people who seem to dare to be different and who try. Mainstream crowds, they're not, I don't think they're that open, so I'd be curious how they would respond to this.
Mainstream crowds tend to be very shallow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually glad you put it that way, so I wouldn't have to. But yeah, that's really what I was getting at. And if they decide to keep this kind of packaging, both for English and Gotch, I would just hope that the crowd would be receptive to it, because I think these guys together. I'm so glad Aiden English has found a partner, because now I'm really seeing an upside. And yeah, I could see these guys definitely being future NXT Tag Team Champions.
Definitely. All right, so up next was probably my personal non-match favorite segment of the night. Big Cass getting interviewed by Devin Taylor. She asks him, well, she basically says, you got a much-needed victory over Sylvester Lafort last week, so what do you think about that? And he said, yeah, it feels like it's been a little bit lacking, so I feel like something's missing. And then he sings a song, That's Amore, but he doesn't actually say Amore. He just says, that's, and leaves it off. And I love it, because he's teasing Enzo Amore's return, and boy, dudes, everyone, including, I'm sure, both of us, miss Enzo Amore.
Abso-freaking-lutely. How you doing? Love those two together. You and I both agreed when we saw that it was a very clever way to tease Enzo's impending return. Those are another pair that I'd love to see be the next NXT Tag Team Champions. Really putting it in sharper focus. I know a lot of people said that the biggest drawback to NXT for them was that a tag team division seemed to be lacking, but I'm starting to wonder if that's more just because of the really strong booking of the Ascension, or just now that all these teams are coming together. Because, yeah, I mean, Ty Dillinger, Jason Jordan, Vaudevillains, Enzo and Big Cass, so we're not doing too bad for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very excited.
So at that point, we cut to a commercial, but when we come back from commercial, we get yet another interview with Devin Taylor. This time, it's RVD.
Yeah, RVD pretty much saying that he'd love to go one-on-one with Adrian Neville, throwing the gauntlet down. Two high flyers going at it, one more so than the other, if you catch my drift. But yeah, I'm sure RVD, especially in his prime, that would be a dream match on a lot of people's lists, and I have no doubt that they could do something good even now.
Yeah, dude,
so I'm excited.
I love what RVD did here. Normally, I don't give a ton of respect to RVD. I respect the fact that he's able to get over as he has been. But I'm not usually a fan of him. I really enjoyed what he did here, because he put over Adrian Neville like $1 billion here. He said, I came down to NXT because I want to see what it's all about. I wanted to find the best guy here, and I did, Adrian Neville, and that's who I want to have a match with. So, Adrian Neville, I want to match with you. Let's go. Let's do this. I love it.
Yeah, and just to kind of flash forward a little bit, we do get that match announced for next week, and what I like about it is it's non-title, and to me, that kind of raises the unpredictability of it, because I really do believe that Adrian Neville will go over here, but then again, we do joke all the time, no job Rob, so I think this will be one of those matches where we really think who's going to pull it out. I'm excited for it.
Didn't Aiden English beat RVD once at NXT?
No, RVD squashed him.
Oh, okay. I remember that was a match, but I didn't remember what the result was.
Yeah, no, our RVD demolished him.
Well, I think it's safe to say that will not happen whenever are they officially facing next week?
Yes, they are.
Okay, that's cool. I like that. All right, that works. So up next we had Kalisto versus Tyler Breeze.
Oh my goodness. This matchup, though, this was a fantastic bell-to-bell contest. And you know what I loved about this? And I've said this before with NXT's philosophy in regards to tag team matches when you have one legitimate tag team against two local competitors, so to speak, and they're not afraid to have the local competitors at least put up something of a fight, even though the more established team will go over. This was Kalisto's first singles outing, and even though Tyler Breeze is the number one contender for the NXT Championship, and they've talked lately so much about him being focused and him being intense, they were not afraid to let Kalisto look absolutely magnificent, and I think both guys are all the better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even before the match started, we had a really awesome little attention to detail thing. Tyler Breeze's seasonal residence is now in Greece.
He just keeps switching places, man. You have to when you're absolutely gorgeous. But no, you know what? Seeing Kalisto go one-on-one with Tyler Breeze, what really solidified in my mind is that what you and I have been saying about, Rey Mysterio's, I guess, next torchbearer as that lucha competitor. I mean, it completely panned badly with Sin Cara. Even with Sin Hunikara, you know that it's never going to get that same kind of momentum again. I think the ship just sailed, and I think WWE has just been looking for that next Latino competitor, and I think they found it with Kalisto. Absolutely. This guy just blows my mind with the stuff he does. He's like a mixture of just really everybody. Rey Mysterio, Kofi Kingston, like all those high flyers. I think Kalisto brings a little bit of all of them to the table in one glorious package, and these guys went out and they had a clinic.
Yeah, they did. They had a great match from bell to bell. It was very evenly fought. At no point did I think that there was no freaking way Kalisto was winning this, because he kept you on your toes this whole time. These guys are great together. I mean, these guys are great individually, but they're amazing together as well.
I love the finish where, Tyler Breeze was looking like he was going for the super kick. Kalisto held on. He kicked Breeze in the face, and I'm like, oh man, are they actually going to give Kalisto the win? And he comes off the rope, and Breeze catches him with the beauty shot. Anytime a move, you and I always say now, we use the term RKO'd. Anytime a move can get RKO'd, its stock goes up in my eyes. And while I always like the beauty shot, I'd be lying if I said that there wasn't always a part of me that's like, oh, it's just a glorified spinning heel kick. But now I think I really see the value in Tyler Breeze having that for his finisher, because he can pull it out of anywhere. And this match is a great indicator of that. This was fantastic.
Absolutely. It was a clinic, to say the least. And even though Tyler Breeze did win, it wasn't because he was just flat out the better man. It was because he caught Kalisto making a mistake.
Exactly, and that's a great way of saying it. Kalisto just had one hiccup in his game plan, and that was it. Honestly, and I've said this before, when Adrian Neville, almost called him Aiden Neville there, but when Adrian Neville and Tyler Breeze do have their matchup, I want Tyler Breeze to go over. I have nothing against Neville as a champion. I just feel like it's Breeze's time, and I would love if Kalisto and Tyler Breeze had a match again, non-title. Kalisto goes over that time, but just the same way as Breeze went over here, just by one mistake, and then they have another matchup for the NXT Championship. Maybe even put a stipulation on it. I mean, that makes for great TV.
Absolutely. All right, so up next we had our main event of the evening: Sami Zayn, Tyson Kidd, The Ascension.
NXT Tag Team Championships, and yet, honestly, I really don't have much to remark on in regards to this match, because, again, much like the BFFs match earlier, this wasn't so much about the match, but around the bigger story, and that being, Tyson's frustration and just him taking care of his own business. And, he left Sami Zayn in no man's land. The Ascension capitalized, and I guess now we can truly say, Ashton, that Tyson Kidd is a heel.
Yeah, I think it's pretty official.
Yeah, I'd say so, because he's just kind of looking at Sami Zayn saying, I don't know, man, I don't really feel like getting on the apron, and it's just like, oh, you douche! And then he gets hit with the fall of man. The 3 count. And you know what? The real victim here, as much as I pity Tyson Kidd right now, and I really feel bad for him, I mean, how could you not when you know that your wife is pretty much controlling your career? Sami Zayn just cannot catch a break. Every opportunity, every breakthrough launching pad that he's given, number 1 contenders match for the NXT Championship, hell, an actual match for the NXT Championship, now NXT Tag Team, it doesn't matter what it is, this guy just always comes so close, and then he loses. Like, my heart, I can literally hear it breaking when I think about it. Poor Sami Zayn.
Literally, John, really, literally?
Literally, man, literally. But yeah, it's tough breaks for Sami Zayn. You want to talk about hard knock life? I'm beginning to think that this guy co-authored the book.
It's a hard knock life for Sami.
Absolutely. So Sami, how does it feel to be so talented and yet not really do anything? Well, you know, given my nice guy gimmick, I just have to keep my chin up and think that the sun will come out tomorrow. Yeah, Sami, you keep doing that, but oh man.
Alright, so, I mean, I kind of told you before we even started recording that this was going to be a pretty quick episode. That's it. That was NXT right there.
Nothing more you can say than that, so let's just get right into our next segment. High spots and low shots, and since you introduced here tonight, I guess I'll start off here. My low shot, I mean, as if my review just a few seconds ago didn't say it. Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to lump Sami Zayn and Tyson Kidd together. No, screw that. Just Sami Zayn. Like, Tyson Kidd made the conscious choice to abandon the match, so that clearly indicates he didn't care about the outcome. Sami Zayn cared about the outcome, and that's why I think it's such an awful night for him, because who doesn't want to be a champion? Well, I guess apparently Tyson Kidd. But Sami did have that aspiration, and he puts in all the effort, but once again, somebody else just comes right in, pulls the rug out from under him. I know his gimmick is the nicest guy in the world, but even a nice guy has to kind of do some self-reflection and be like, you know what? Something's not right. And take matters into their own hands.
You know what? Yeah, that is a heat of the night. Why does Tyson Kidd all of a sudden not give a crap about championship gold?
You know what? Maybe it's not about the championship gold, but a matter is like how he got there in the first place. He didn't get a tag title shot by recognition of his own merits or ability. He got one because his wife went crying to a position of power, and it's a matter of pride for Tyson Kidd. It's not necessarily the championship match, but what it represents at the core. So, really, I could almost understand Tyson Kidd's reasoning if we're going with the logic of why people turn heel. For me, if I'm Sami Zayn, I'll have a bone to pick with him next week if he doesn't go hunting for Tyson Kidd and be like, dude, what the heck was that? You left me in no man's land. So we'll see.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, though. I don't like that logic.
I don't like it either. I'm just trying to look at it from the heel point of view, which is hard for me a lot of the time whenever we do this. But yeah, Tyson Kidd's probably thinking, my wife got it. I don't need to do this because my wife's taking pity on me or these people are taking pity on me. I'm good enough to get my own title shots. I'm going to do things on my terms and my terms alone. This wasn't on my terms, ergo, I want no part of it. And that's just really unfortunate for one Sami Zayn. You can sky your way to the ring, but you'll be limping your way out of it.
It's skanking.
Did it result in a championship? No, so I guess it really doesn't matter how it's pronounced.
He skanks his way to the ring, John. Skanks.
Well, he had a skank for a partner, because he certainly wasn't there for him.
Thank you for hitting my softball out of the park.
You're welcome, but that's not important right now. What is important is, who is your low shot?
Sasha Banks.
Yep. Her BFFs are bickering. She lost a match to Alexa Bliss, who last week she said would be no problem to deal with. I mean, if I'm Sasha Banks, I'm thinking some withdrawals are in order, mainly from the land known as NXT, and maybe for a nice spot on the main roster. Start fresh.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me, at least.
Yep. All right, there you go. Close things
All right.
out. I am done talking.
Well, yeah, I mean, high spot. We still got to do our collective high spots.
Oh, wow. I completely forgot that was even a thing. Who's your high spot, John?
You know what? My high spot's going to be the Vaudevillains. It's a new act that debuted. The crowd was into it because NXT crowds, I think, are some of the best crowds on earth. Simon Gotch fascinates me for what he brings to the table. I think Aiden English is finally clicking with more people. Again, I think his stock goes up having a partner. I can't wait to see more from these guys.
Yeah, definitely, dude. Because I don't want to be the same as you, I'm going to say my high spot is Kalisto. Even though he
Really?
lost
You know
his
what?
match tonight, Kalisto basically got introduced to the world tonight. He's had tag team matches before, but he never really did a significant amount in those matches to really be like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I can do. This match was his introduction. This was his coming out party, so to speak.
I completely agree with you on all counts. I think Kalisto needed this match. I think Tyler Breeze was the perfect opponent to have that match with because of his selling ability and everything.
Definitely.
This was the perfect introduction. I think you hit it on all cylinders, bro, because in tag matches, you're always going to have to share the ring time with somebody else. And in that case, it was El Local. Here we got to see just a pure Kalisto matchup and what it offers, and I like it. I like it a lot. This guy, and I hope, because I said the same thing about Sin Cara, I'm not going to lie. When we saw the Sin Cara vignettes, I said the same thing about him when I first saw them. I hope that I'm right about Kalisto when I say I think he could be a sensation in WWE, like top babyface levels, especially in merchandise sales. I see all of that in Kalisto right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to me, I think Kalisto is on the short list to being called up very soon already.
I would completely agree with you. I don't think they're going to waste much time in getting him up there, nor would I. I would get him up there as soon as you possibly could, and just let the rest of it iron itself out. I wouldn't mind if he was one of those guys that hypothetically, looking at the landscape as it is currently, if they wanted to put him in a program almost immediately with Bad News Barrett for the championship, like if they wanted to just really just get him that hot that quickly, because I just see a lot of upside to Kalisto.
A lot of upside indeed.
So yeah, now your high spot. Well, no, that was your high spot. So yeah, now we really are done. That is NXT, guys. So
Crazy quick though.
absolutely, much like Kalisto's offense, that was a quick review of TWitWoW. And with that said, again, this is an excellent episode. Me and Ashton both concur on that. So that concludes it. This has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That was my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Discuss on Tweetoff. We will see you again for our Friday night SmackDown review as we inch closer and closer to Money in the Bank.